right. Civilized Citizen Podcast. I am Kev, the cool nerd. I'm here. My big brother, my OG,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Notorious E Live.
What up? What up?
How you
Peace,
feeling?
peace. All right.
So we here. Listen, Civilized Citizen Podcast. So the people know what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's our first podcast.
First one.
So you got to give them the story. So let's talk about, before we even get to Civilized Citizen. Let's talk about Notorious E Live.
Oh, a lot to know about me, man.
I'm gonna kick it off, and you just, you know what I mean. So, Brooklyn night.
Brooklyn, Fort Greene Projects, born and raised. Was out there for about 16, 17 years, man. Wound up going to the military for a little bit, came back, went back to Fort Greene, was doing my thing out there for a while. Then I said, all right, trying to change scenery with the best eye.
Okay.
Moved out the best eye for a bit. Stayed out there. And this is when all my creative juices started to flow with just different things I was into,
So I'm glad you went there, because it was a time in life in general, that 90s era of Brooklyn where creativity literally was.
That was the
flowing.
move. Like, it was either you was being fly, you was coming up with your own stuff, just the way you just did things differently from everybody else. You just knew you was from Brooklyn.
That's the ill thing. Like, again, me growing up on the other side and across the bridge in the Bronx.
Yeah, it's all good.
It was, but our perception of, I would come to Brooklyn every now and then. I'd be on Green Avenue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But our perception was a little different. It's crazy. Back then, people didn't necessarily look at the Bronx that way. They kind of do now. But Brooklyn was like, the grimy niggas was in Brooklyn.
Well, and there's a whole lot of truth to that, because certain parts of Brooklyn, it was the grimy dudes. Shout out to all my people in Brownsville. You already know what it is. Brownsville, I got family out there and whatnot. But Brownsville, even I didn't go to Brownsville without checking in with my OG cousins or whatever. Like, yo, I'm coming through. But it seemed that way. But Brooklyn cats was always about Brooklyn. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? And you from a different borough or whatever, we showed love until you crossed it. You know what I mean?
And that's why I say it's crazy, because you have all right, it's that perception, right? That has some factual, but then you got this whole hipster bohemian, you know what I mean? Like Mos, Talib, even though she from like Erykah Badu got her shit off of J. Rule.
Yep.
Like, so that's a little
in Fort Greene, matter of fact.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's a little eclectic. It's different. You got that one side where it may seem a little too dangerous, and then now you have this artsy side. Like, so for you, again, as a creative, like, is that what you felt like you tapped into a little more? You was in the middle ground, like.
So I think I was more in the middle ground, because growing up in Fort Greene, it's like you had to keep your head on a swivel. Fort Greene had its parts where it was that grimy, straight from the projects, Killah be killed type situation, and then you still had the dudes that was talented, the ball players, the rap stars, all those different things. So for me, it was more of a blend of the two, because I seen from both sides. I always was into some type of hip-hop fashion type thing. I always seen the different movements and things like that. I remember rocking the plastic chains. Remember those joints back in the day, the woven joint with the peace signs and all that,
Malcolm
X Clan and all that stuff out there. Then it went to the big Dookie gold ropes that came back around. The baggy jeans. Then the polo all day. Yeah. So it was always both sides. So me and my friends back then, we always were considered like the pretty boy thugs. You know what I'm saying? It was always like, don't cross us, but we still gonna get fly. We still got that talent. We still, we blended the two. You know what I'm saying?
So you are definitely you got your roots, or you grew up in what a lot of people would call like the golden era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
For sure. Like that mid 90s, early mid 90s. You was outside then.
Yeah, I was outside.
Like,
was
you know
outside.
what I mean?
I was bumping elbows with a lot of those dudes as they was coming up. So back when I was working at the print shop, I was working at this print shop on Atlantic Avenue, and a lot of those up and coming rappers, come in there and they want freaking mixtape covers, they want their album covers, they want their flyers done. And me being a kid of the street, hip hop all day, I was like, yo, bet I can hook you up. So I'm designing stuff for like Teflon from MOP. I'm doing stuff for Smooth and Trig. I'm doing stuff for all the neighborhood dudes that's around there. So, just being part of that movement, it just was like I always felt connected to that.
Right.
I was always like in that mode. So that's where my creativity started to flow. Seeing the upstarts of these rappers and then seeing them making it, like Papoose, one of the first dudes that actually knew who the hell Papoose was.
Right.
Back when he was running with DR Period and Smooth and Trig and all of them, you know what I'm saying? So it was that era right there birthed a lot of style and fashion and just like that flyness that just won't change. It just elevates, but it's still always going to be there. You know what I'm saying?
So and that's another thing, right? So just people in general, or maybe even people from New York. A lot of people think that, and this is probably from TV, movies, or just what we saw, like, but they think all the fly niggas come from Harlem. You know what I mean? But
it's a perception.
But Big was the one that had niggas out here wearing the designer, the
I had my moments too. I remember me and my man C, God bless the dead, you know what I mean? We went 145th and Broadway, got us some icebergs, got us some Coogis. I remember our first concert, we went go see Big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Carl Kanai down. We was always that fly dude. So, Big definitely put it back on the map. Before it was all about Carhartts, hoodies, Timbs, just and then you had the Polo dudes. Polo was always around.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, as a youngin', couldn't always have Polo. So you just try to emulate whatever you can get your hands on, whatever your moms can get you, or whatever you can hustle up to get.
Right.
But that is nothing like that era, man. Like, it was just the style back then, the lifestyles back then was just so much more. There's a lot more to offer. And, that perception of Harlem dudes, because Harlem was always the Rich and Alpo and all of them dudes. It was always about the money. They was the flashy dudes.
Flashy, yep.
Brooklyn dudes, they was flashy to a certain extent. You know what I mean? We didn't have to say that we had money. You just knew we had money because of the style and the essence of how we walked and how we carried ourselves.
Right.
So, you see us walking down the street, gold chain on, some rings, Tim's Dragon, we might got a little Pelly leather or something on, whatever you like. Oh, that's a Harlem dude. Nah, we from Brooklyn, B.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We ain't gotta broadcast that we from Harlem. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that Harlem cats out there flashing too much.
Right. So again, I mean, just that era and that time, you know what I'm saying, and the hip hop influence and everything like that, like. Even back then, just being a fly dude, a creative, working in the print shop, you're doing, digital design, things of that nature, what have you, without, and then we're going to talk about it, but at that point, did you ever really think that you would be creating your own brand?
Absolutely not. Like, a lot of those things that I was doing back then, it was just an expression. I stumbled upon being a graphic designer. That wasn't something. It was just, I was in high school, needed a job. My homegirl told me that her cousin had a spot, looking for somebody to deliver stuff, do this, that, and the third. And I just picked up on it quickly. Just watched them. It's like, oh, all right. He's like, all right, yo, go do these business cards. So started learning how to do business cards. And I'm doing business cards. Then I'm doing order forms. Then I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Then my first breakthrough, I was working with JC Jace, with his mixtape covers, and I started doing mixtape covers for a lot of the dudes around there. And just because, I was a little bit younger than him, so I was kind of closer to what they wanted.
Right.
So it wasn't nothing that was a foreseen vision. Like, yeah, I'm going to get out here and I'm going to create my own stuff. I'm going to have my own movement. That stuff came a lot later in life. You know what I mean? We did at one point just kind of was like, all right, I can start doing my own little thing, but it was never to this level.
I got you.
Never to this level.
I got you. So again, like I said, we'll go around. But I had to get that question off. But so, like I said, you my big brother. So the people, they will get to know this, but you don't. Everybody doesn't necessarily know. You and I, we've had a lot of different conversations. So you've at one point you kind of had one foot in the industry.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. How did how did it start? Like, and how did it start? Why did it stop?
Okay, so I could put it to you like this. So, I had a group, guys that I grew up with, went to high school together. My best friend, I'm Solomon Donald. Back then he was called Caraballo. He was always rapping. I never was a dude that wanted to rap. I always was the puff type dude. I wanted to be the one in the front, managing them, putting out, making the most noise, bringing the excitement to everybody else. So, it was a point where, we started to really take it serious. I remember financing his first record. We getting in there, we was making it happen. We was in the studio with DR Period. We bounced around from different studios to studios, just out there in the street, battle rapping. Me and my man Mo would go riding through the sty.
Shout out Mo.
Yeah, what up, Mo? You know what I mean? Riding through the sty, we see some dudes on the corner. Nah, we gotta go get Son. Let's go get C. Go get him out of his bed. He like, yo, I'm in my pajamas. Like, go put some clothes on. Some dudes out there talking about they want to get this money. So we go out there, Mo come out. Who want it?
Right.
And out there rapping. I mean, doing endless shows, just all kinds of things. So we started taking it to another level. And being that I was a graphic designer, we came up with different ideas for promotional stuff. Did his album cover, did the CD covers, did all those different things. We went on little tours here and there, promotional joints for the shows that we used to do. Used to be crazy. I mean, that's when we started actually doing stuff when we was putting it on clothes. So we were taking it different from what other groups and acts that we were going up against in these talent shows and these different things. We actually had clothing lines that said Line of Fire, that said Caraballo on it, So I remember one joint, I don't know if I told you this, but we was at a show and we had some chicks stationed in the audience, and they all had Baby Doll t-shirts on underneath their clothes. So when he got on to perform, he would perform this one specific song. They'll pull their shirts off and they got the Baby Doll shirts on, and they say Caraballo. Everybody else, the fellas are throwing headbands on, they cocking it to the side, and we just in there just acting a fool. And it was just
fire.
like, wow, Then, again, we just kept growing, kept going. We sat down with different labels. A lot of times around that time, that's when it was the label deal. Like everybody wanted a label deal instead of signing an artist.
Right.
So we sat down with a couple executives. I ain't gonna name their names. Sat down with a couple executives, and they were just on some, what you bringing to the table. Well, he's got 4 albums completed. What you mean what we bringing to the table?
Right.
I mean, how much you willing to put? We got 4 albums complete. All we need is a top couple extra known producers, and so those things didn't work out. So we started going the independent route. Then fast forward, life.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where it wasn't bringing in enough money. So we both out here with jobs. We doing this, still trying to do this, and starting to build families and different things like that. And it came to the point where me and him separated for a little while.
Yeah.
I wound up moving to Georgia. He stayed out in New York or whatever. Lost contact. Came back together when my son was born, and we was tight back again. He was doing more music again, so I started jumping in. But around that time, again, it was just life.
Yeah.
Life. His life was going a different direction. My life was going a different direction. We stayed in contact for a while.
Yeah.
But I started doing stuff out here.
Right.
So I was doing music out here as well. A couple of artists I was working with in New York moved to Atlanta. Shout out to Dark Seas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was out here, so he was going around early in Atlanta, just out there. He was murdering people. And he was to the point where we would come in and they'd be like, nah, y'all not gonna be in the performance. Y'all not gonna be in the talent show part. Y'all just gonna be the performance. We can't let you go up against these guys. Y'all just killing them. So C's would go up there and we would murder it. And music always has been a part of it. I've always had some type of way with my finger on the pulse, shout out to Mel. He was another one. I would help him. We would do a lot of stuff. I put out an independent mixtape with my coalition crew. Had me on a couple of tracks. I ain't a rapper though. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the music thing, man, it was always the backbone to a lot of my decisions, a lot of things that I wanted to do. If it was anything I wanted to aspire to be, I wanted to be in that music business. I wanted to be the next Dame. I wanted to be the next Herb.
Yeah.
That dude that was just there that had a dope crew with him and was just out there making it happen for them.
Yeah.
It was never about me being in the spotlight. I never wanted to break away and say, yeah, I'm going to have me a solo album.
Right.
It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was the journey with that until, again, life really monkey wrenches, not being able to keep up with that stuff, having a family,
Yep.
him getting older, both of us getting older, both of us just kind of, going separate ways and, just enjoying life more.
Yeah.
And then I think what sparked the whole movement with the clothing line is when, he would send me stuff and I would send it back to him, tweak it, give him some ideas like, yo, you should do this, you should do it like this. And he came out with his clothing line and I was like, oh, that's dope. So I would support like I always do, support, showing it, yo, we ride or die with that clothing brand. And from there, it was just kind of like one of my good brothers, Dwayne, he was telling me, he'd be like, yo, bro, like you giving away these good ideas, you should do your own thing. I see you out here, you helping everybody else, but you're not really doing nothing for yourself.
Right.
And he would always push me. And, he passed away. When Dwayne passed, it was just like, one of the last things me and him talked about was doing this for us.
Right.
So that's where Civilized Citizen kind of started. It was started off as a dedication to him. Then from there it was just like, all right, can I actually do this?
Right.
I didn't even have a name in the beginning. It was just like I'm just doing little designs here and there, and people were like, oh, that's cool. So one day, Shane came home and he was talking about some gang activity in his school. And I was like, we had to have that conversation. Like, bro, we're not doing this gang stuff. He's like, nah, man, I ain't getting involved in that. And he threw his hands up. He's like, I'm a civilized citizen. I don't want no parts of it. And then I just looked around like, light bulb. I'm like, yo, that's the name of the company. That goes to the first logo.
That's crazy.
The first official logo. And then honestly, and this might sound a little weird, but those are his actual handprints that I kind of had him put on the scanner, and I scanned it. So those are his actual handprints.
That's not weird at all, actually.
Yeah.
Now that you tell the whole story, I've never asked you where the name came from. So that's actually fire, because it is, again, name recognition. It easily flows, like easy to remember. Civilized Citizen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man, I never knew that. I didn't. Yeah. So that's
so
fire.
like the first iteration of Civilized Citizen, a lot of it that we did, man, was based around that logo design. We really wanted to push the culture that not all, and it was based really towards the young adults in the beginning. His generation. Now, not everybody out there is out there into gangs, into violence. We're regular people just like everyone else.
Right.
With a little hip hop twist to it.
There you go.
And it started off with like graphic tees and things like that. And, to the point where, I kept saying, I got to do something for D. I got to do something for Diz. Like it's something's got to be there. So that's the significance of the Roman numeral 44 that I use. Dwayne played baseball, and coincidentally, Shane plays baseball. So right before him passing, he finally was like, he was comfortable enough to say, I'm gonna take Shane out. We're gonna start working. I'm gonna start getting him right. And unfortunately, his untimely demise, that didn't really get to happen. So I had to find a way to, show my dedication to him. So that's where the Roman numerals came from, the 44. That was his number when he played baseball. He was with the Kansas City Royals for a little bit, and so. A lot of times you'll see all the new things that's coming out, the 44 Roman numeral. And Civilized Citizen is for everybody. A lot of times you see a lot of these companies here, they market into one specific group, one specific age group. I market to everybody. Right. What makes us different from a lot of other clothing brands or upstart clothing brands is, the customization. I focus on customization, individuality. Just because you may like this, you may want this same suit with pink letters on it.
Right.
You may want something just to match your Air Max.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We focus on customization. So a lot of things that we make, just because you see it on the screen, doesn't mean that you can't get it in a different color. You know, so I mean that's the basics of what we do, and you know how Civilized Citizen was started, and where we're going.
Right.
Yeah.
So you really do like I'll go back to what you were talking about when you were in the industry and knowing having the chicks in the in the crowd with the shirt and homeboys with the headbands. You definitely you understand marketing and branding. You understand marketing and branding. Obviously, bringing another level with customization to Civilized Citizen. You understand customer experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You bringing those two together to kind of just give people a lifestyle brand like you said, for everybody. Something you could be comfortable with.
Yeah.
And
you know, like I said, it's not all. Originally, it started off where I wanted to be Black Power all day and all that. And I'm just gonna be honest, you know, doesn't appeal to everybody. And if you look at my surroundings and look at the people I'm around all day long, and you know who I interact with everyone.
Everybody.
So why isolate other people? Everybody's involved. Everybody's a civilized citizen.
Yeah.
If you look at the Civilized Citizen Chronicles on the webpage, you'll see it's everybody.
Everybody.
There's all kinds of people on there.
Yeah.
You know, so I really focus, make that, you know, when I make designs, I think about the young man in Idaho, the chick out in Delaware, you know, then I think about my Harlem and Brooklyn dudes, you know, so I kind of make it so that, you know, it appeals to everybody with a hip hop twist.
Right.
Everything I do has a hip hop, some type of hip hop twist. You know, that's why, you know, when you see a lot of things that we doing and a lot of promotional things, I got DJ Demo with me.
Yep.
You know,
Shout out Demo.
You know, what up, Demo? You know, got him out there with me, and he's out there heavy promoting, and he's part of the brand. He's my official ambassador. You know, and just different things that we do. You know, try to connect back to the community as well. You know, I do a lot of outreach stuff that, you know, I don't broadcast because I don't think that's something that should be broadcasted. It's just something that should be done.
Right.
You know, so it's more than, like you said, it's more than a brand. It's a lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
You know, it's definitely a lifestyle.
So now it's like, I mean, I guess we just get into it like you said. So hip hop influence.
Yeah.
You from the golden era. That's what Civilized Citizen is all about. So it's always gonna have that in there. So then we're gonna talk some hip hop.
Let's talk hip hop.
All right. I know I said it already. But I'll ask you this. So what is, and give me the range. I'm going to ask you this question and I'm going to give you my answer too. You know what I mean? But what is to you, what is the greatest era and why? Give me your date range too.
I'm going to do, specifically for me, 92 through 95.
92 through 90. So only 3 years.
92 to 95. And the reason why I say that, because those are the years, me personally, I was struggling in life. And all I had to turn to was hip hop. And hip hop kept me strong, kept me going. Some of the greatest records to this date came from that era.
Okay.
Some of the greatest artists dropped and showed up during that era. You know, some of the greatest golden era artists, or the old school rappers that we call old school now, peaked in that era. You know, so that's my range right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that era, stay only in you gave me that you are limiting yourself, brother,
Yeah,
but it's
fine.
okay.
It's fine.
92
to 95.
to 95.
Yes, sir.
So that 3 year span, who was the top MC, greatest album in that 3 years?
You already know what I'm gonna say, bro. You don't even have to say nothing else. Notorious B.I.G. all day long.
For both?
For both.
Okay.
For both. For
Who
me.
was the big? Okay, so but my last question is gonna be who was the best crew?
Wu-Tang.
Okay,
Wu-Tang all day.
for sure.
All day. You know, shout out Ghostface, man. I met him back in Charlotte, man. I got that selfie. I still got it. I was mad I left my custom shirt home too, man. I had one. So you have the
I'm
that
the only-
one? You had that. That's a one of one.
Right.
But I had another one that I made for me and my cousin Rashard. He had a Raekwon the Chef joint that I made, and I had the Ghostface joint. And we was just going out there for that weekend for the party or for the concert. And we drove out there, and as I'm like, maybe I had like another hour left, I turned and looked at Shaniqua and was like, yo, I left the damn shirts on the pool table, bro. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, the concert's at this time. I'm like, I can't even turn around. I was so tight. And then I get to meet him, and I'm sitting there like,
Wow.
bruh. But yeah, that's
Wild. So I'll give you a wild story.
wild,
When I wore that hoodie, I was in. Well, you know this though, but I was in Staten Island.
Yeah.
We were at Method Man's studio in Staten Island. So Meth was there. I did meet Meth. I did not meet Ghost. But then we go. Where did we go? We went to like a bar, we on Staten, so you know, New York City, period. You gonna find a little.
You gonna find a hole in the wall.
Right, hole in the wall ass bar. Like, so we go to this bar and we just chilling, drinking, and this. I can't tell. I don't know if he was Spanish, Italian. I'm on Staten Island, so
Right, you already know it's probably Italian.
He might, and he could have been. But what he said to me, if he was Italian, what he said to me, it makes it a little different. But he looked at my hoodie and he was like, "Fuck that nigga." I said,
Hey,
yo. I mean, he might have been Spanish. I don't know.
He could have been Spanish then.
He could have been Spanish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is
wow, crazy.
Check this out. So he don't come back to the hood. He don't da 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 da. And out of nowhere, someone like, you disrespecting, like, this is an argument happening and I'm in the middle of it. How it ended, I don't know. Because once they started interacting, somebody heard that you disrespected Ghost, you disrespecting Woo, you had the nerve to say that. They start doing that. Grab my drink and I slid.
It was hell yeah, you got a family coming home to you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that was wild. But all right, so you said 92 to 95.
92, 95, because it's personal to me.
I got you.
92, 95 is personal to me.
Mine is personal too. It's just
it's probably longer.
Wider. It is. Yeah. It's a wider range. So I'm going 94 to 04.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff out of there too. Yeah.
94 to 04 for me. And that's literally like my introduction and like kind of like my growth in that 10-year span. You know what I'm saying? I could pick a favorite year. Which I think my favorite year would probably be 96. But
96 was hard.
It's my favorite year of all time.
I should expand mine to 97 at this point. I'm just thinking about some other shit that dropped. Like,
right,
ooh. But yeah,
for me, 94 to 2004, because obviously, like, that's my eyes are now kind of becoming open. So you know what I'm saying, Illmatic, Big, Craig Mack, you know what I'm saying, even Pac at the time, Snoop and Dre, like, even though I'm learning, well, I've already learned, but I had to learn like some of those records that I was a super fan of even in that year were like, cause what Chronic came out in 92.
92.
You know
Snoop,
what I mean?
93.
Doggy Style was 93. 36
94,
Chambers was 93.
Illmatic,
You know what I mean?
94, right?
Illmatic was 94.
93, 94.
Probably somewhere in there. You know what I mean? Ready to Die 94, obviously. Ready to Die in again. So let's go back to, like you said, you wanted to, you know, you was thinking the mind of a Puff, of a Herb, whatever. Like, no one has done this since he did it, but people, I don't know if enough people do know this, but you know, Big and Craig Mack came out the
exact same time,
same day. They were promoted.
Yeah, the Big Mac
together.
Big Mac.
That shit was that's marketing genius.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, to answer the same question as you, even though I have a 10-year range, right? Obviously for me, well, it's gonna be all the same. So to me,
I already know that.
to me, the top MC was Hov.
Hov.
All right.
Yes, sir.
The greatest album was Reasonable Doubt, 96. Even in that 10-year range, to me,
that's tough.
Right. The only competition, in my opinion, to Reasonable Doubt is Blueprint. I don't think there's. I don't know.
Get Rich Die Trying drop.
03. I got Reasonable Doubt above Get Rich or Die Trying.
I know, but
it's still like a crazy album.
That's a tough. That's
you know
tough.
I mean?
I'm good with my little limited time frame.
We could talk. I bet we can still
do
talk
this
all
all
day
day
about
yeah.
it. But so Hov, Reasonable Doubt, and Rockefeller. Best crew in that era. There are other great crews.
Yeah,
I mean,
some
even
great
Wu.
crews.
And notice I said crew, not group.
Yeah.
Because Wu-Tang can be a crew or a group.
And the reason why I
But-
said Wu is because, you know, the affiliates.
Yeah.
So you gotta understand, like, going to the studios in Restoration in Bed-Stuy, you know, Killah Priest was in there.
Yeah.
Shaheem would come down there.
Yep.
Sons of Man would be down there with Buddha Monk. You know what I mean?
You can talk
So-
about all the affiliates, but
Yeah.
Wu is just strong,
Yeah.
period. So
Yeah.
I bring up Wu-Tang in the conversation of like, all right, now if people have a conversation about who's, you know, greatest producers or whatever, you'll hear people bring up Timbaland, Pharrell, Dre is one of the biggest names people bring up. Obviously we're in Atlanta now, so people say Jermaine Dupri. People bring up Puff, even though it really should be the Hitman.
The Hitman, right?
You know what I mean? Neither here nor there. He was the conductor, if that's what you want to call it. But you talk about these greatest producer of all time conversations, and no one ever brings up RZA. And so let me tell you, before you, I want you to give your opinion, but so 93, 36 Chambers comes out 93. Wu-Tang Forever comes out 97, right? So let's just play with those 4 years. In that time frame,
Dropped a lot of music.
36 Chambers,
To Cal.
The Purple
Brooklyn
Tape,
Zoo.
Brooklyn Zoo,
Iron Man.
Iron Man,
Who else?
Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, he dropped some tough stuff.
He's the only producer on all these records.
Yeah.
Like all these albums. I'm
Yeah.
saying records. No, all these albums.
Yeah.
And then comes back with Wu-Tang Forever. And all these albums are going, in this span of time, are going gold or platinum. Or more.
Yeah.
Because To Cal went double, I think. You know what I'm saying? And they're all regarded as classics.
Classics, yes.
And if you're a true head, there was one album that was supposed to be better than all of them that he lost in the flood.
Yeah.
That Deck album
Deck album.
everyone in the crew swears was better than what they put out.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't understand why people don't bring up RZA in that conversation.
You know, I look at it differently. You know, I look at it like, when you talk about the greatest producer from that time, I say Eric Sermon.
People don't talk about him enough either.
Because not only did E-Dub do all Def Squad, Hit Squad records,
Yeah.
he did R&B joints, the Dave Hollister joints, like all those like different joints that we're now starting to say, oh snap, E-Dub did that. You know, come on, E-Dub. You know, so when we talk about greatest producers, greatest rappers, it's just so hard to pinpoint who it is, because I think it always comes down to taste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like me particularly, I love RZA's music. I love what he did, but I am not a fan of some of the tracks that he did use on certain albums for certain artists. Because now when I hear these guys, I'm like, damn, if they would have branched out and had somebody else,
it could have been a little.
You know, it could have been a little bit more. Now those albums that you mentioned, straight classics. You don't go nowhere else. But if you start looking at their second projects and this and that, when they start branching out, you start looking at really what those albums did and what they sound like on other tracks.
You're right.
It's crazy, but you know, he started that movement. He had his own sound. He was very distinctive. You could tell it was a RZA track. You know, he brung a lot to the game. But then I look at, you know, E-Dub, who don't get enough props. He doesn't get his props.
Because he rarely missed. He rarely missed.
You like I can't call a dud from Son.
Right.
And I just not even being, you know,
biased. No,
the super fan that I am. You know what I'm saying?
If you go down,
it's really hard to find a dud from E-Dub. Yeah. You know, promotional wise, he may not have got promoted the way, you know what I mean, but the records that he produced, he's got some plaques.
Yeah.
He's got some plaques on his wall.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
He got some plaques on the wall. Because I remember we was having that conversation, and I told you EPMD and Eric Sermon is like on my
Oh
my
yeah.
starstruck moment.
Yep.
You know, because I'm not gonna get starstruck for a lot of people, but E-Double make me. If he walked through the door right now, I'm gonna be starstruck. I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, oh snap, that's E-Dub. Like,
Right.
you know, I mean, I bumped elbows with a lot of other people, and it was just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
That's crazy. Wow.
yeah.
Shit. Now that you talk about RZA and even though I kind of still feel the way I feel,
Yeah.
Ghost is the only one who really didn't have a
Consistent.
software slump, huh?
Nope.
Because Judgment Day was nowhere even close to Tikal.
Sorry, Meth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Raekwon's second album.
I don't even remember Mobilarity. Right, there it goes. Outside of Wu-Tang Forever was fire. But after Iron Man, Ghost dropped Supreme Clientele.
Supreme
and that's
Clientele.
Classic of classic.
Classic. That is classic. That is, matter of fact, I got the vinyl of that upstairs before I had the Iron Man vinyl upstairs.
Supreme Clientele might be better than Iron Man.
I personally think so.
Yeah.
I personally think so. I think that's one of the best. That's probably one of the best Wu-Tang albums to ever come out for a solo artist.
That's a fact.
Wu-Tang.
Yep.
I don't know no other album that could really touch it as far as lyrical content, beats, structure, the whole joint. Everything. Now there's other records that may be a little bit better than some of the records, but Ghost was in a different zone. I think he really had to prove himself.
Yeah.
And you know, back in the day when we would listen to Wu, you know, and it's no disrespect to nobody, but you know, everybody was like, oh, you know, Ghost was cool. Everybody was on meth. Everybody was on Jizza. Everybody was on, you know, Dirty or whatever. And, you know, his rhymes that he had, it was cool.
Yeah.
But he showed his tail.
On Supreme Clientele.
On Supreme Clientele, he showed out on that one.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
For real. Yeah, man.
I'm ready to have, so you make a transition to Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not gonna get into why you transition, why you moved or whatever. I'm just laying that as a foundation to get into some petty shit.
Okay. Let's get it. You know I'm King Petty. With my crown.
So we're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I have not had you and I have had this conversation a lot.
I kind of feel I know where we're going with this one.
It could go one or two ways, but I know but you're in the general vicinity. First and foremost, this is the first one. And this is a great piggyback off our Wu-Tang, but I'm not going to that one first. Express your disdain for Andre 3000.
I knew you were going to go there, bro. All right, so check it, right? When you talk about best MC, top rapper, yada, yada, you know, and they put Andre in the top 10, top 5, whatever the case is. It's not that I dislike him, but again, a lot of his success came from Outkast. I don't care if you want to say that double album one was his, one was Big Boy's. I don't want to hear that. It was an Outkast album. He showed up on features, and he had some superstar verses, but he has yet to give us any solo material for him. He gave us the Flute album that don't count. But when I look at the stuff that he did compared to what Big Boy does, I personally think Big Boy is nicer than him. Now, Dre, Stacks, it's more deeper in thought and more creative. But Big Boy is that fly dude that I relate to Big Boy more than I relate to Andre. I'm not relating to a dude with a turban and freaking genie pants. I'm relating to the dude that's pimped out, chains, fly polo gear, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? I relate to that.
Right.
You know, but I can't sit here and say he's in top 10 of anything because he's in a group. You know, because if that's the case, we make an argument for Eric Sermon.
Right.
Period. Don't talk about album sales. Don't talk about none of that. Skill for skill, bar for bar. Like, son is not going to get out here and battle rap nobody. He's not going to out rap nobody to me. He's going to do the commercialized, you know, the deep thought stuff that make you have to pull out a thesaurus. Like, I got to put my kufi on and trying to kick knowledge to me. Like, what we talking about here?
So why do you think people keep putting him in that? Why are his verses so polarized?
Because if you think about what the verses, the verses that he has are potent verses, but again, it's just on a group joint, a group setting.
Right.
You know, I think a lot of people put him up there because who else they gonna put from the South? They don't want to give T.I. his props. They don't want to give Luda his props.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You never see those guys. And T.I., when T.I. was at his prime, he'll smoke the boots on Dre.
Yeah.
Hey, unpopular opinion, whatever. He'll smoke the boots on Dre. You know what I'm saying? Luda, come on, man. He's the Busta Rhymes of the South. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
We don't put Busta in the top 10. That's wild crazy.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We talk about album sales. That's what a lot of people focus on, skill sets and dominance. You know, I'm from the era where you had to come outside, be out on the corner, no beat, and make everybody go, when you rhyming. If you can't make me go with no beat and you rhyming, and I'm like, damn, whew, you don't need to be in no top 10.
Okay. So I'm gonna go. And I'm never gonna, like, as we do this podcast, I'm never gonna leave you out there alone. So just as much shock value or unpopular opinion, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Yeah. How you feel about 3 Stacks is how I feel about Eminem.
That's a big debate.
That's how I feel about Eminem. Debate. Like, I tell people this all the time. I think Royce the 5'9" is a better rapper,
I believe so
than
too.
Eminem.
I believe so too. I think it's the lyrical content. But if you can make orange rhyme with another word, that's wild crazy, bro.
I mean, okay. He does when I listen to him, at least when I listen to him now, like, I will admit that early Eminem, you know what I'm saying, the real Slim Shady, the Eminem Show,
the
Marshall.
Infinite. Did you listen to Infinite?
I did listen to Infinite.
Okay. He was raw, man.
Marshall Mathers LP. Like, when I listen to a lot of those records, like, I'm like, nah, he's doing his thing. Like, I think the Eminem Show was kind of where he fell off.
Now, what was the album when he did all those weird voices? That's when he was on them pills heavy. Yeah, it was before Relapse, right?
That might have been, what was it called? Curtain Call or some shit.
One of them, yeah.
The one where he had when he did the that, like you said, the weird shit that just
yeah.
He started getting gimmicky at a certain point.
He was on them pills. Kids don't do drugs.
Please.
Don't do that shit. No.
Please. But like, I don't know. He's a multi-syllable. I think that's why people fall in love with Eminem. So you know what I mean? Like, maybe some of his rhyme patterns or whatever. But when you start listening to, like, when you actually break down the words and hear him,
his content. It's the content. So, like, if you go back and you listen to that Slim Shady LP, I can't listen to every song because you talk about your malls, man. Like, like, that shit was cool back then. Like, if you don't have that timeless music that you can listen to now, so he's got timeless records on that album. You know, the multi-syllable stuff is homage back to the golden era of rappers, the Kane, the Rakims, you know, the G-Raps.
Oh, for sure.
And that's always going to appeal to a hip-hop purist. But if you're looking at who's actually rating these people from top 10, there's some businessman in the suit, bro. Like, it ain't me or you.
Right.
Did you get that poll for the greatest rap group of all time?
Yeah, it was terrible.
You got Did they send you?
To vote? They didn't send it to me.
They didn't send it to me. Who voted? Exactly, record industry people. So we can get into conspiracies and all that at another date. But
you talking about the one me and you were. Yeah. Well, we argued about.
Yeah, we had fun with that though.
We did have fun,
and we came to a consensus that some of them didn't need to be on there. But when you talk about M appealed to. He brought a different audience to hip hop. He actually opened the door to make hip hop a little bit more accepted in places that we couldn't get in, where Redmans couldn't get in.
I could accept that.
You know, when he was dropping the names of these dope MCs where they couldn't get into these places, and he made it possible. So I don't disagree with you, but at some point I do, just because I'm about that shock value, them rhymes and bars. Like, you know, if you're gonna put M versus Stacks, who's coming out to win?
I'll pick Drake over Eminem.
That's a personal preference. That's not skill talent. That's not talent.
I think it's skill.
So you telling me we strip a beat, no beat, Dre's gonna out-rap Eminem.
I think he can. It will be very close. I can
I don't
see
think
them
it's
being
gonna be a
neck and neck.
slaughter, but I don't think it's gonna be a situation where Dre comes out on top.
And I wouldn't be mad at that.
And everybody, I know everybody's watching this probably right now gonna be like, yo, that dude.
That's why we did that.
But everybody knows me. They know. I don't dislike them. I just dislike the fact that we put him in the top 10 and we leave out a lot. Why are we leaving out AZ?
Yeah, he gets left out. So speaking of AZ, I'm glad you went there, because that's another question that I ask people or a conversation that I have. First, let me say I actually agree with your Andre 3000 point. I think skill wise, he is very skilled, but I'm kind of with you. Like, why do we keep putting him in this top 5 conversation? He hasn't actually given us anything to, like. Yes, if you want to go based on Outkast, cool, but we haven't got. So I agree.
It's a debate with the Outkast of the top group.
AZ has one of the most memorable verses in hip hop.
Yep.
Like, memorable, greatest. Yep. I'm just gonna go say greatest. His verse on "Life's a Bitch" is, in my opinion, only countered by Dex verse on Triumph.
Yes.
Yeah, like
yes, sir.
It's either Abomatomically or visualizing the realism of life in actuality. Like, come on,
son. Word.
Like, those two verses are like the holy grail of 16. I don't even know if they were 16s, but they were.
Yeah, they just set the blueprint of just how you set off on a record.
Right.
Like, you know how many records after that just try to duplicate that same type of moment, and they just can't get close.
Just can't.
I can't even think of one that comes close. I've heard some records where the last MC crushes it, like Redman on Headbanger. Or let's just say Redman on any ending verse, any ending song that he's ever been on.
Right.
Let's just keep it a buck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so
that anchor.
Or Remy on what was
Annie
it?
Up.
Annie Up.
Yeah.
Her verse was tough too.
Yeah. Oh, you brought okay. So that's, I mean,
but opening.
It don't get better than AZ.
I mean, and that's what's crazy. It's like, how do you not put AZ in the top 10? Because if we go off record sales, yeah, of course, unfortunately, he's not the type of dude. If you know AZ, he's not the type of dude that want to be out there and flashy. He's just doing it, showing he's nice.
He's just a fly nigga.
He's just want to show that he's nice.
Yeah.
But if you put his verses up against, he's one of them dudes that don't need a beat and that can make you go,
yeah.
And that's how I measure it, because of how my man used to rhyme. How Don Solo used to rhyme, how Caraballo used to rhyme. When you took a beat off and he was just out there going, you was going. Because it was just like his flow, his word patterns, the way he did stuff, and just the delivery of everything. It was just like, think about Big. You listen to Big's acapella. You just like, if you as an MC can't do that, you don't need to be on nobody's list.
So I got to bring Big back up a little bit too, because I believe, this was another conversation that I heard somebody had, and it was on Drink Champs.
Okay.
I think they said they were having like a greatest storytellers conversation, and they put Cube versus Big. And you actually have people, and no disrespect to Cube is a legend too.
Cube is a legend.
EFN and Yayo were literally
they were going at it, yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can close your eyes to a Big verse and literally see. I'm sorry, like Cube to me, and I'm a fan of Cube overall. I'm not gonna say I wasn't old enough. I was still real young, so I have never deep dived into any of Cube's solo albums. I know No Vaseline, but because of the
no
content.
Vaseline.
And then I know Today Was a Good Day. Everybody knows today. My grandmother knows.
Right.
Today Was a Good Day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That is an amazing story. one amazing story. Every single Big verse could probably be turned into a television show. Like, I legit, so, you know, I've had this thought before, and maybe when we get deeper in the media and if we get the ability to do it or try it, or if I can pitch somebody this, I don't even really give a fuck because I just want to see it, right? You know, Irv has that anthology shit, Tales.
Yeah, the Tales joint. You turned
I need him to
Turn
just
Life
do
After Death.
big. You can Life After, Ready to Die and Life After Death.
Yes, put it as a TV show. Let's let it run.
And make it, you can write scripts off this nigga's records, yo.
Well, I'm just waiting for you to finish because I got an unpopular opinion.
Okay,
Bing bong.
I'm just,
We gotta add that in there. Bing
but I'm just saying, like, you know, all right, so Life After Death. The moment you hear today's agenda,
That's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I'm closing my eyes like I'm watching this shit on. I should have this shit on a blank screen.
Yep.
This nigga walked you through every detail, all the way down to them dumbass nigga. They double parked
by a hydrant. Stupid motherfuckers. Yo, who you talking to?
All this wild shit just happening. Y'all dumbasses. The truck got told.
Like, come on, man.
Story to tell.
Like,
now, Irv actually did. So that was one of his Tales episodes.
Okay.
Was Story to
I ain't
Tell.
never watched it.
It was cool. It's cool. It's
What
not
up, 50?
terrible. Right. But not like I really do. I like whoever. You don't even have to cast it as big. You can cast it as big or somebody, Christopher, however you want to do it. But
that'd be
that
dope.
Series,
That would be dope.
season 1, Ready to Die, season 2, Life After Death. But every fucking song is an episode.
Imagine what Kicking the Door would be like.
Come
Oh,
on,
that'd
son.
be
Not
so fire.
or just set it off with fucking like think of episode 1. You Ready to Die is the goddamn his mother giving birth to him and goes right into Gimme the Loot.
Yeah. Tough. Yo, stop giving away the secrets, bro.
My bad. All right, but you said you had unpopular.
So, as they're talking about the greatest storytellers, and I've had this conversation with Shaniqua, I've had this conversation with a few other people, and I think you would appreciate it.
Okay.
As much as I love Big, and I think Big is one of the greatest storytellers ever, but I got one that's going to trump him.
Okay.
Just because of longevity and more creativity and more albums. Ghost. Because think about what Ghost did. He gave us 36 seasons, that whole series with Apollo Brown.
Yeah.
Then he gave us, if you listen to Emerald City, Ghostdini and Emerald City.
Ghostdini,
that was a relationship record where he went crazy. Maxine, Josephine, Claudine, like all the joints that he do, and you listen to his albums, he's got stories for days. Motherless Child. All I want is you. You know what I mean? All I got is you. All those joints. So it's like, once again, it's someone else out there with that poll. Right. I don't get the vote. You don't get the vote. I brought that record. You brought those records.
Right.
Who's doing the voting? You know what I mean? And if it's industry cats, it's biasness, straight up. Like those polls need to go out to legitimate Spotify users that have the people that's in these categories, and they listen to them, and you can, they got the algorithm. They can tell who you listen to, and they can let them vote. But I didn't even think about is Ghost.
It will probably be unpopular, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong. People. I never thought about it. Now that you say it though, and you play Ghost rhymes in your head, you start thinking about it a little more.
There's a lot of joints that he got that.
He's beyond Ghost and Ray are some of the most descriptive MCs. Period.
Yeah.
Very detailed, very descriptive.
You can like you said, you can close your eyes and you can see exactly what's going on. Yeah. They did a mix-up record with Big. It's called 3 Bricks. And it's Big telling the story. I think it was a Story to Tell, maybe one of the joints that he did, and they blended it with their joints, and he put the song together, and it's so fire. That shit is crazy. Yo, that's wild. So when you get a chance, look up 3 Bricks.
3 Bricks.
But yeah. Wow, man, this is dope, man.
It is dope. This is dope.
This is dope.
All right, so We're gonna do this more. We're gonna do this
Yeah.
more, and it's not just hip hop. It is all centered around everything is hip hop. Life is hip hop.
Hip hop is a lifestyle, man.
Life
it
is
ain't,
hip-hop.
It ain't just. It ain't just music. It's music, clothing. It's the way of life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's embodies everything. It's in the food.
the food,
You know, the foods,
the sports,
music,
the way we
movie,
in
the
it,
sports.
the art.
You know,
listen, everything.
the movies. It's like it's becoming so much bigger, and you know, I'm happy to have a small part in that. You know what I'm saying? Being able to contribute whatever I can contribute. You know, so you know, if there's rappers out there that you know is about to receive some of these Civilized Citizen tracksuits, you know what I mean? I got some people that's helping push. I got DJ Demo. We got to do a whole day with Demo, man. That dude
that's a
is,
fact.
His story and his history is long and deep and pause and you know it's wild crazy. You know, it's crazy how we re-linked.
Right.
You know, so that was
Y'all story is kind of crazy.
yeah. We're gonna need him here to tell that story.
No, we got. I got it.
So we can get that wow factor in there for that. But yeah, man, like Civilized Citizen, that's the move, man. You know, it's a movement, it's a lifestyle, it's a brand, it's you know something that definitely I want to hang my hat on. You know, it's a family involved business. You know, everybody's involved, and even down to you guys and you know everybody else that's surrounding me. Like we all got a part of this. You know? And it's just about branching out and putting it in the hands of people that you know get tired. You get tired of wearing the same thing. I spent so much money on polo, bro. I'm a walking billboard at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I go to work even in my dress shirt. Civilized Citizen somewhere.
Fact.
I walk in with the jacket and hat on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? T-shirt underneath my other shirt is gonna have it on. Like, you know, as soon as I get a chance, I'm taking it off, you know. So you know, but yeah.
All right. Episode 1. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it.